Hello and welcome to our webinar for today. It is in the topic of the how to survive inflation, which I believe we all are trying to do in today's economy. My name is Alta Simmons, and I am going to pass the webinar over to our host for today, which is Miss Tina Ponder from GreenPath Financial Wellness. Tina, take it away.
Thank you so much, Elta and Charlotte, for having us here into Neighborhood. And I'm so glad for all of the attendees that were able to make it. And if you're watching this recording, hello to you as well. So welcome, everyone. Today, we are going to talk about some strategies to survive inflation. I am Tina Ponder with GreenPath Financial Wellness, and GreenPath is a nonprofit organization with the mission of empowering people to lead financially healthy lives. Financial education is really important to us. Something else that's really important to us, though, is just behavioral science. Like, why do we make the choices that we make, and how do we make some healthier choices and choices to make inflation a little bit easier? So we're going to talk about all of those strategies today. I am joined by one of our other partner experience managers from GreenPath, and Lauren Simon is with us. Hi, Lauren.
Hello.
I've been with GreenPath for 12 years. Lauren's got me beat by a year. She's been with GreenPath for 13, and she and I both did a lot of financial coaching and counseling in our past lives before we joined the partner experience team to do a community workshop. So we're excited to share some of the knowledge with you. As I mentioned, GreenPath is a national nonprofit financial wellness organization, and we provide a variety of services. So they're all designed to help people understand and work towards financial wellness. GreenPath's goal is to empower people to lead financially healthy lives and to really help you live the best life you can. You can take advantage of a free financial wellness assessment with a GreenPath financial wellness expert by phone. We have sessions that are usually about 45 minutes to an hour, and we'll talk about your spending plan. We'll review your credit report with you, discuss housing concerns, or any type of student loan options. We also specialize in home buyer education, reverse mortgage counseling, student loan counseling, and options for dealing with debt. All of our basic counseling services are free and confidential. We are licensed in all 50 states, and we offer immediate sessions during normal business hours in English and in Spanish. We do also offer telelanguage interpretation services, so we can provide real-time counseling in over 300 languages. As I mentioned, we do offer the immediate counseling in English and in Spanish during our normal business hours. And you can find those on our website at my.greenpath.com, or you can go to Neighborhood's co-branded website that we have with GreenPath, which is greenpath.com/partner Neighborhood Credit Union. So we're going to go ahead and put that into the chat for you so you have it. That's where you can visit us on the web, and you can find all of our hours and more information about our services there. If you'd like to speak with us today over the phone after this webinar, just give us a shout, give us a call, 877-337-3399. That is our dedicated credit union member line. So if you want to give us a call there, feel free. Again, my name is Tina Ponder. I've done a lot of counseling at GreenPath. Lauren Simon has as well. And we're just really excited to share with you the strategies to survive inflation. So let's get into it. So the first thing that we're going to talk about today is just really understanding inflation. What is it? What is inflation? What does that mean? We're also going to talk about needs versus values versus wants. So we're going to talk a little bit about a budgeting plan and a spending plan. We're also going to talk about how to beat the costly C's. And you'll learn a little bit more about what the costly C's are. And as a reminder, we have a question later about what is one of the costly C's. We're also going to talk about some spending plan and budgeting hacks, and then we'll talk to you about how to maximize your resources. So as we go through this webinar today, make sure to pay attention to what our costly C's are so that you can get entered into that drawing of naming one of the costly C's. So the first thing we're going to be focused on is really what is inflation. And we like to make things really interactive. We want to hear from you. I know Lauren and I, we both have been affected by inflation. One of the questions that I like to ask is, how has inflation changed your life? So in our household, I have a teenager who's a senior in high school, and myself, I'm a single parent. And just a lot of things that have changed for us is really being mindful of how much we're spending on food, and then really cutting down our trips and gasoline. So it's more so like, hey, can you take the bus to school? Can you get a ride home from practice with somebody? So we're all kind of being a community and sharing rides for the kids after football practice and football games and things like that. Lauren, what did you say earlier about iced tea?
I like to drink iced tea all day long, so I buy a big jug at the grocery store because that's cheaper than driving through McDonald's, which is my other preference. But my jug of iced tea went from being $2 for a big jug to almost $3 now. So I think I have to switch to water or try to cut back a little bit. But yeah, daycare has been the other thing for me that's really just been creeping up. We've probably had, I don't know, 6 or 7 increases over the last 2 years. And prior to that, maybe we had like one over that same time frame. So that's definitely getting expensive.
Oh my goodness. I can't imagine having little toddlers in my home trying to navigate inflation with it. So I did throw that question, how is inflation changing your life? So if you have any answers about specifically how it's impacting you, we'd love to hear about it. I know that we just did this webinar earlier this morning and somebody was saying that potatoes are like $5+ for a bag of potatoes, and I had no idea. I'm not a big potato eater, but it's just crazy how much things are going up. So, what is inflation? One of the things that I always like to do before I talk about something that I'm not exactly excited about is I want to get a good conceptual framework or just like a textbook definition of, okay, what is it? Let me face this. So, what is inflation? I'll kind of break it down for y'all. And I think Elta and I were talking earlier, and she said she took a lot of economics classes in college, and she had to as part of her degree. And it was something where like she needed to know the information, but it wasn't really something that resonated with her. And now she's realizing that like, oh my gosh, like all of that I learned, like it's making sense. So sometimes having the background on the information is helpful. So inflation, in layman's terms, is basically when prices increase. Also, with inflation, the prices of goods and services isn't constant. Example could be your daycare costs are raising 6 to 7 times, and you're having 6 to 7 price increases where it might have only increased every 6 months or annually. During moments of inflation, it takes more money to buy products and services. So that's why your iced tea is now, $2 or $3 as opposed to a dollar. That's why your potatoes are $5 now. Also, something that's really, difficult with inflation and something that takes a toll on us as consumers is that our purchasing power goes down. So we've got to be more savvy, and it's just something else that we have to add to our never-ending adult list of things to do. It's like, oh my gosh, I've got to find the best price on this, and I've got to navigate how to deal with this. So our purchasing power goes down and we have less of it. It's not all bad. There are some kind of interesting things about inflation that could be a potential advantage or pro. So, if inflation is mild and if it's consistent, it does encourage people to buy now instead of later when they'll have to pay more. So, that could be things like stocking up. Like, if I see something that's on sale, it's like I might as well get this now before a month from now it might not look like this anymore. Just being really mindful of that. Something else too is that as demand rises, companies increase their production, so they tend to hire more workers. So you might see, like I see this on LinkedIn, I've seen it on, just different news articles and things like that. There's lots of jobs everywhere, right? So the result is a boost in economic growth. So it is very possible that, especially in the beginning of inflation, you're going to see more jobs. One of the tough sides to inflation, and of course there are disadvantages and negatives, one of the tough sides is obvious. Things are just costing more. And I'm going to just take a quick look here at some of the things that I have coming into the chat because I think it will help us through our conversation today. So somebody has said with a 100% rent increase, increased grocery costs, increased airfare, and more, inflation has caused a total shift in how my household budgets. So I live in Austin, Texas, and my rent this year, in August 1st, it went up by $504. $504 a month. It was insane. And so I've been dealing with that. And the bottom line is it's just things cost more. And if you are already living paycheck to paycheck, like 50% or more of people in the United States, it's rough, right? Um, yeah. So, if wages, if our income isn't increasing, we are forced to spend less. So we've got to find, if we're not getting that from work, we have got to find where we can find more money. So it makes it difficult to afford necessities like childcare, housing, and groceries. Alta has been buying groceries and cooking more at home and eating less. With less money to go around, inflation could spike further. So that can cause the economy to slow down and unemployment to go up. I've got a lot of friends that are recruiters out here in Texas, and they're anticipating next year for sure that a lot of their employers are already saying we're going to be on a hiring freeze. So while you see a lot of jobs right now, it's very possible as the new year rolls around, we're going to see less jobs available and just more wage freezes and more job freezes as well. So, to put it all into perspective, before we kind of jump into talking about, what are the strategies, and before we get into all of that, we've been talking a lot about budgets. I think somebody typed in here, like, it was caused a lot of changes in how my household budgets. It's really helpful just to get kind of a good idea in your brain of what does that look like? What does that mean? So, as you're looking at your budget and looking at, what is my income? How much money am I spending every month? What are my expenses? It's great just to get a handle on what your basic needs are. So you've got your food, you've got your shelter, you've got your water, and all of that. Those are your basic expenses to survive. You also have your wants, and your wants are those expenses that improve your quality of life. Here's the deal though. A lot of times your wants can become your values, like your iced tea every day, right? So if we take a look at values, values are a fundamental belief or practice about what is desirable, worthwhile, and important to an individual. As we talk today, we're going to be talking about the costly C's a little bit later. We're also going to be talking about some spending plan and budgeting hacks. I want you all just to keep in mind that you're not a bad person if you're not slashing your budget like crazy. And if you're spending money on iced tea every day, or if you want to go on a vacation every year, we're still humans and we still need to live a certain quality of life. And guess what? We work hard. So we just want you to keep, in mind that some of these things that we're going through today, they are suggestions, and it's just a great way to get our brains moving to figure out how can we play this game a little bit better during inflation and how can we navigate this better. So we're really in this together, kind of working on, all right, here's some of GreenPath suggestions and some of the things that we've come up with. We're also going to be asking you though, what have you come up with too as we go through this? So let's lean on each other, since just because we work at a credit union or GreenPath doesn't mean that we're experts in all of this. We're kind of living through it and figuring it out too. It's like a video game. So speaking of a video game, I would like y'all to play a quick game with me and chat in your response. Which one is a need? Which one is a value? And which one is a want? And there's a hint to this. There might not be a right answer, right? So I just want to gauge kind of the audience here. The home, is this a need, a value, or a want? And I see lots of people typing in, thinking and chatting in. All right, so we've got kind of a good consensus that the home is a need. So shelter, right? So shelter is one of our basic needs for sure. What about a car? Is this a need, a value, or a want? And this can be, again, different for everybody. Ooh, interesting. I have somebody that put a value. Okay. Somebody says a car is a want. So I know in my household, for me, I've been thinking a lot about a car, and a lot of my friends are telling me, you need the car. And I'm like, if I just didn't have the car, my $504 rent increase would go away. And then they say, yeah, but you wouldn't have a car anymore. Yeah, but, and I live in Austin, there's public transportation. Um, do I really need it? Is it a value at this point? Like, I want my own vehicle to be able to go visit my friends and be able to go to my doctor's appointments without taking an Uber. Just certain things to think about.
And it's
And then
something too,
yeah,
sorry, Tina, to just, it depends where you live, where you are. I'm in mid-Michigan. There's absolutely no public transportation at all. I live in the country, and without a car, right, we wouldn't get anywhere. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be a fancy car, right? So that might be where it becomes more of a want or a value. You need some basic transportation, but maybe it doesn't have to be an Escalade.
not to mention weather too, right? So like depending
Yes.
on where you live, if it's like a snowy place where you have that kind of aggressive weather, it's really helpful to have a vehicle for sure.
Hmm.
And then our last little image here, I hope that y'all can see it. It is just somebody lounging with a nice little drink. So we were thinking this could be a vacation or, relaxation time. Is that a need, a value, or a want? Lauren, you said something really funny earlier
I said
about
I
this
don't
one.
even want to go on vacation. It's not even a want for me because I have the little kids and that's too much headache. But
I,
before it was a value. We used to do a big trip every year or two, so
I
we're
was
done with
thinking
that.
like the pandemic's been difficult. We've got inflation. Like maybe it is a need for some people. Like I am going to lose it if I don't get out of here, right? So I like how a lot of people are saying relax is a value, and then I think Monica agrees is a need for sure. So, determining our needs versus our values versus our wants, it's really going to help us as we're kind of like digging into these costly season, these budgeting hacks to inspire us and motivate us to make changes if we need to or if we want to, right? It kind of is nice and empowering. It's giving us the freedom to make some changes. I was doing a lot of research for this inflation webinar before I put it together, and I found this really neat blog called Fincon, and it's this gentleman named PT. He's a Fincon founder and blogger. And so he just does a lot of like fintech and financial education articles. And one of the things that he said really resonated with me, and I really liked this, it's a good motivator. So his philosophy is freely spend your money on things you receive a lot of value from, but mercilessly, that's a hard word, right? Mercilessly slash your expenses elsewhere. So I love this because it's like we all work really hard. We have families. I'm a single parent. Like, I want to be able to have something that makes me feel good in life, right? I need to have something. And so I like that, he's kind of saying you've got to live a good quality of life and really slash expenses elsewhere so that you're really getting what you want out of your money. So he's got a cool little visual that you could even do as an exercise. So he's got a Venn diagram where, you've got your necessities that are in your budget. And then you've got your something I value, which could be for some of us a home, a car, iced tea. And then in the middle, what do you enjoy spending money on? So I think for me, one of the things that I really enjoy spending money on is I look forward to this every single week. There at the farmers market is this drink, and it's a citrus drink, and they have lemon lime, they have strawberry lime, they have like all of these different just like lemon lime and citrus flavors and lime and orange, and it's $6 for this drink. I could probably make this at home for like less than $6, but the way that they make it is just perfect, and it comes in this big container, and I look forward to it every single week. I look forward to going to the farmers market and spending $24 a month, and I usually tip a dollar, so I probably spend about 30 bucks a month on this citrus drink. And do I need to be spending that? Like, could I put that towards Netflix or a Hulu subscription? Probably, but I really enjoy spending my money on that as opposed to everything else. So this might be a really nice thing, especially for you, just to do as an exercise on your own for some self-reflection. This is also kind of a neat thing that you can do with kids if you've got children in the home, especially teenagers. And then if you're in a domestic partnership, doing this with your spouse or your significant other can be really helpful as well. And it just gets people on the same page to figuring out how do I spend. So this PT founder, he warns that if you deprive yourself of everything, of every kind of spending, it just leads to like you giving up. It's like, well, what the heck? I'm already failing, so I might as well just give up. So this really helps to keep things sustainable if you have this mindset and this philosophy. And keeping a budget or a spending plan is important, and so is having a decent quality of life. So we're going to talk now about our costly C's and kind of figure out what are those and how can we mercilessly slash other expenses. So for those of you who are with us today, I put a visual up here as a hint, but let's guess, what might some of the costly C's be? I can guess, but I already know them, so I need you to guess. All right, Elta says coffee. What else? Streaming services, good one. And I'll take one more. I've got one, I think a couple more people typing, but I'm going to take one more. I got somebody thinking. So coffee, streaming services. Ooh, insurance. Lauren and I were talking about insurance earlier. Y'all are good. Okay, so we are going to, while we go through this next portion of our presentation, we're going to be very mindful and come to this with an opportunity mindset and a, hey, this is going to help me mindset. We're just going to be mindful of these costly C's. And again, these are just suggestions, but these are definitely some brainstorms that we've had as a partner experience team at GreenPath to kind of help you out. So life's costly C's, we've got coffee. So somebody got coffee, so that's a check. Children, we're not saying to get rid of your children or to eliminate your children out of your life, but we are saying, hey, I've got a senior in high school. It's expensive. Children have a lot of expenses that come with them. Carry out, we've got cable. So cable these days is streaming services, but we're going with the costly C's, the alliteration. So we're going to keep that in there. We've got car and cell phone. So with car, I think it was Alyssa that said that insurance is going to come up too. So let's talk about coffee. So obviously we can think about coffee and we can think about, making coffee at home, right? I'm sure a lot of us are already making coffee at home. I looked and did some research earlier just to see like what's the difference between Starbucks pre-pandemic and Starbucks now. And for a lot of their like, especially their like gourmet drinks, it's like $1 difference or more for what they're charging for their coffee. So making coffee at home can be super helpful if you're a coffee drinker. Using those like reusable K-cup filters, that can save you a lot of money. So I think the K-cups, I know that I used to buy from Target, they went up like $3 since the last time that I purchased them within like the last 2 months. So something that we did is we decided, you know what, we're gonna kind of make this a bargain. My 18-year-old, he drinks coffee. I really don't. So he's the one where I'm like, stop going to Starbucks, make this at home. And so we got the reusable K-cup filters, and that's helped curb some of the coffee spending here. And then if you're like a super big coffee drinker and you love it and you value it, ask for coffee as a gift. Like if, you have people come over your house for Thanksgiving or for Christmas or for dinner, and they're like, "Oh, should I bring anything? Should I bring a bottle of wine?" It's like, "Hey, feel free to bring your favorite bag of coffee." Or ask for that as a gift or even gift cards, gift cards to coffee places if that's something that you really, really enjoy. Lauren, do you have any tips for coffee? You're always
Well,
full of ideas.
I am because this is a big one. Like I think a lot of like drinks, it doesn't even need to be coffee, but people that drink soda, people that like energy drinks, me with my iced tea habit. It's really about figuring out how you can be more economical because like spending $3 on a coffee drink like once a month or whatever, that's not that much money, but when it's a daily habit or even a weekly habit, it adds up super quick. So I would say, like my brother drinks energy drinks and he goes and buys them at the gas station. I'm like, buy them at the grocery store instead, buying these kinds of things in bulk where you can, where it's, more economical, making it at home. I love the gift card suggestion because nobody ever knows what to get anybody. So if you can, ask for gift cards to your favorite place, that can be your little treat. But yeah, apply it kind of across the board to any of these like small daily habits that add up.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. Again, children, we are not saying that we don't love kids, and we're not saying to get rid of your kids. Children, they are a blessing. They are also, they do come with a cost, right? So there are some things that we can do to reduce the amount of money that we're spending on our kids. So one of the things that Elta and I were talking about when we were creating this was, if you're going to go grocery shopping and you're not going to HEB or Central Market and doing curbside and you have to go into the store, if you have the ability, just leave the children at home. Just save yourself your sanity. So that was one of the strategies that we came up with. And then another strategy, and Elta, I'm going to call out on you. We've got the snack strategy for, how many snacks do you need for the week, right? So tell us about that.
Absolutely, Tina. And, when it comes to the snacks, and maybe your children are, your furry children, right? And there's treats associated with them, ration out the treats, ration out the snacks. When I take the children to the grocery store with me, we discuss how many snacks we're going to need for the week. If they're eating snacks 6 times throughout the week, Sunday's more of our big breakfast day, where we're just kind of eating big dinners and big breakfasts. So we don't need as many snacks. There's Monday through Saturday that we're going to need those snacks. So with 2 kids, we ration out that you get one of this snack each of those days. So I'm going to look for the options, for example, applesauce. If they want applesauce packets, we're going to go for the most cost efficient applesauce box, right? That's going to provide them 12 snacks for both, so each person gets a snack throughout those days, and they know that they stick to that regimen. There's not going to be 3 applesauces a day. There is one applesauce, maybe one fruit strip a day. And we find the most cost effective way to purchase these snacks, and we stick to our routines. It's almost like meal prepping in a sense, right, Tina?
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, the other thing too is that I help out with my friend's daughter, so they love Target. These girls love going to Target. They're 7 and 10. And so when we go to Target, they want everything there. And so what we do is I'm like, all right, you're getting $3 and you can pick anything in the store that you want. You cannot go over the $3. And that's what they get. And we do this usually about once a week. And so they get $3 to spend each. And if they want something that's more, I'm like, well, do you have some of your own money with you? And if they don't, it's like, well, sorry, you can't get it. Take a picture of it and then, go home and figure out how much money you're going to need to save to get that. Yeah. Lauren, anything else you want to add to our children costly C?
Yeah, I think too, like just aside from food or shopping, just like activities, that's the thing that really adds up for me is like you got to sign them up for this and sign them up for that and go to this place. So I like to use the library a lot. They have like my library has these like kits that are put together that you can take home and use, and that has different activities. We have like a local science museum that they have free passes for. So definitely check in with your library and see like what activities are in the community, or there's a lot of mom groups on Facebook or parenting groups that, publish different things that are out there and free that you can do so you can get the kids out of the house and they're not going crazy, but you don't have to spend a lot of money on.
All right, great. Thank you. And Alyssa mentioned in the chat that I don't have any kids, but planning meals should definitely keep my spending plan down. We are going to talk about the next costly C, which is carry out. So this one has all to do with food. It has to do with groceries, with food, with meal prep. Meal planning and meal prepping, and my doctor tells me this. He's like, that's the best way to stay like on track with anything, budget wise and just like what you're eating. Because if you have it there and it's there, you're not going to need anything else. You're not going to need to go out and get anything else. So, despite saving you the hassle, we know that carry out and eating out and going to the grocery store without a list, it's not going to help you save money. Statistics have shown that more than 54% of families order carry out once a month. It could be more. Instead, try to plan and eat at home because your budget and your money is going to thank you. So some of the things that we came up with were absolutely take a list with you. If you take a list with you to go shopping and just stick to that list, you're not going to go over your budget. The other thing that you can do too is the envelope system, which is not on the slide here. You can absolutely say, I'm not going to spend more than $125 this trip at the grocery store, put the cash in the envelope, 125, and that's it. You go through your line at HEB, that's all you spend is the 125. Meal plan and meal prep, there are women, and as I was doing like this research for this, there are women that are out there that are moms of like 8 kids, and they're somehow, even during inflation, they're like, our grocery bill is only $350 a month. This is how I do it. So I like highly encourage y'all, if you want to, Google some research, because I saw a lot of like ideas there to feed my growing 18-year-old who's a football player. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. So eating less meat is something that we've been doing a lot. So, thankfully he loves rice and beans. So we've been doing a lot of rice and beans. And that's been really helping. So eating less meat, it's not to say cutting out meat completely, right? But definitely like making less meals out of meat has been really helpful for us. And then buying our non-perishables in bulk. So anytime something's on sale, or if my friend's like, hey, I'm going to Costco, I will go and find those deals so that there's those quick and easy like after school snacks and things like that for the teenager. And then utilizing leftovers. I think some people and some households that might just be like it might be like a we don't do leftovers. But that's something to where like it could definitely be shifted. Leftovers can be made. I think somebody said earlier, you had pizza last night and then the next day you can turn it into spaghetti pizza. So just getting creative with that. And as you Google some of these ideas, there's really great recipes out there and just some of those like mom budget hacks for utilizing leftovers. Lauren, anything that you and your family are doing right now,
I've
food
learned
wise?
with me, with the toddler and even the baby, I've just been trying to put less food on their plate to start because sometimes they want to eat it all and sometimes they don't. But, if they don't eat it all, then it all goes to waste. So that's what we've been doing. But it's hard with kids because sometimes they do want to eat stuff, don't want to eat stuff. So always having something that's kind of like a safe food that they're going to eat that I know that, they won't throw out.
Somebody was saying too, that's great. Somebody was saying in here coupons. So I know that there's a lot of good coupon apps out there that are free. So utilizing the coupons are huge. And then something that I like to say for the C is curbside. Curbside, curbside. So if you don't even go into the store, just order your stuff on curbside and then go and pick it up and then you're done, right? It's like I know how much money I spent and then that's it. So yeah, coupons and curbside are definitely some of my hacks. Somebody said I try to only choose meals that will allow me to have leftovers at least 2 or 3 times. Absolutely. Um, oh, and then something else I do too is I freeze a lot of my produce. So like I love baby spinach. Like I eat it like it's going out of style and I put it in all my smoothies. If I see that the baby spinach is on sale and it's like one of those bags where they're like, oh, you've got to sell it by today. And so it's like $1 off. I'll buy the bag and then I'll throw it in the freezer and put it in my smoothies. So there's definitely a lot of good savvy ways to get around some of this. All right, the next one is streaming and or cable, right? So consider cutting if you're still paying for cable, just don't pay for it anymore. Unless it's one of those things that you really, really value. For the streaming services, in addition to what Lauren was saying about visiting your local library to like stream for free, you can stream audiobooks, movies, you can rent activities, things like that. One of the things that I've noticed in talking to clients is that people will have like more than one streaming service. So they're like, I'm paying for Spotify, I'm paying for Hulu, I'm paying for Netflix. I've got like whatever kind of sporting one that they want. I've got my football, my NFL app that I pay for. I've got Peacock, I've got Disney Plus, I've got all of these things. And so one of the things that we've come up with is like having a family discussion if you live with other people and picking your favorite streaming service, having everybody vote for it. And then it's like $20 a month as opposed to like 60 or $90 a month, right? Or, if you live alone, just kind of figure out which one do I value the most. And then there are a lot of apps on your phone too. Like I know the NBC app or the CW app that has different shows on it. They will often play shows for free. And of course, there are like your traditional commercials with those. But that could be another option as well.
I saw a really good tip too about periodically stopping services. So maybe like you have Netflix for like 3 months, you watch whatever content you want to watch, and then you cancel your subscription and then go ahead and sign up for HBO Max and then watch whatever you want. And then maybe you restart Netflix or maybe you start Prime. So there's nothing that says that you have to keep paying for these things all year long, especially because the content does get cycled in and out, but sometimes there's only so many things you want to watch on a service.
For sure. We go through that too. Like I noticed that we watch Disney Plus a lot this time of year because we watch all of the holiday movies like the Halloween and the Christmas movies and all of those. But then after that, we're not really using it. So we do cycle those out too. Good tip. And then it looks like other people, Lauren, that are on here do the same thing. All right, so we talked a little bit about cars earlier. So other than your shelter, other than your rent or your mortgage, or wherever you're paying to live, the car that you can drive can be a major expense for your household. So for us, I've told the 18-year-old he's not getting on my car insurance right now. It's just not happening. It is way too much money. And him paying for it on his own, it can really throw off his budget. So we are going to talk about this. And Lauren and I have some ideas for kind of maneuvering this and working around it as you will. But if you think about it, you've got your gasoline, you've got your maintenance, you've got car washes. If you do that, that can always, eat into your budget. I know that my car wash used to be $16 and it's now 20. And I like never remember ever paying that much for a car wash in my life, except for like the last 6 months. So, consider what kind of car do I drive? Why do I drive it? Does it help me get to my job? Does it help me get people to school? Does it help me get to doctor's appointments? Are you trying to make a statement with your car? Fun story. I don't know, Lauren, if I've shared this story with you. I had one time somebody that I was talking to, and they had a business car, something that they took to work that they needed to go to the grocery store, to take kids to school, something that they took to their job. And then they had a secondary car. And the secondary car, I said, "Oh, I didn't realize that you had two cars. What's the other car payment for?" And this person said, "Well, that's my date car. It's my keeping up with the Joneses car. I've got to have this." So I'm not picking the people up in my other car. So if you must use your car all of the time, consider ways that you can look for to cut costs. You certainly don't need two vehicles. You can shop for better car insurance. You can switch to a hybrid vehicle. Um, something very basic that my dad always tells me to do that I always forget, which I did over the weekend, is to switch and rotate your tires, downgrade, and all of the other things. So there are always options from getting here to there too, depending on where you live, right? So, I seriously have been considering just getting rid of my car. We'll have to see though. I live in Texas, so it might be hard. Combining trips or carpooling, that's coming back. I know that that used to be popular when I was younger. And then consider going down to one family car. One of our counselors out in Colorado, she's done the same thing within the last few months. She's like, our family's a one family car, or, one family car family now. And then shopping around for more affordable car insurance. We wanted to say too, Lauren, that that's not just for car insurance, right? That could be for other insurances as
Yes.
well. So renter's insurance, pet insurance. I think I was paying $40 a month for pet insurance and I just switched over, and now for my two cats I pay less, like maybe 20, 25. Choose the best newest car you can afford. Keep your scheduled maintenance like clockwork and ride it until the wheels pop off, and pay more on your car note if you can afford it. Over time it helps you pay it off faster and cut the amount of interest that you pay. Good tip. My car insurance went up $40 a month, and when I asked, they basically said inflation without saying inflation. I noticed that too. I think Ours was maybe like at 185 and it's like now at 225. It's gone up quite a bit just because of the area. Like my renter's insurance actually went up more than the car insurance did, which was wild to me. Yeah. Keep your ideas and your thoughts coming. These are great. So the next one is cell phone. Lauren, do you want to talk about the cell phone bill a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, this is a big expense for a lot of people, and it's something that I think most people nowadays feel like is a need, if not a value. But there's a lot of options. There's a lot of different carriers, so negotiate to a lower bill. I've always found that it helps if you just threaten to quit, right? I mean, and that sometimes that goes so far, but I mean, you do have options as a consumer, so call and ask, see what promos are out there or what you can do. You might consider too, if you have teens in the household or even adult kids, having them contribute for their monthly phone bill. That can happen. I've seen that with a lot of like older parents that has like everyone and their girlfriend on their cell phone plan and they're paying like $800 a month. So if everybody pitches in, even their 30 or 40 bucks, even if it's not the full amount for their line, that can help. One of our other managers was talking about how their family, their kind of more extended family, does a family plan because it does end up being cheaper for everybody to put in their 30 or 40 bucks a month versus paying, maybe 75 on their own, and everybody just contributes and pays. Consider cutting the internet to reduce the cost or the unlimited phone internet. A lot of times, too, I see people that have like a plan for their tablet. So maybe consider, cutting that portion of the bill and then just using the tablet on Wi-Fi, whether that's at home or finding, networks that are available publicly, just so you don't have to pay for cell service for the phone and the tablet or maybe your smartwatch. A lot of times you can link those with Bluetooth anyway to your cell phone. And then just avoid upgrading until you absolutely need to. There's always the newest iPhone or, the newest Android that's out there. And, it's cool and it's exciting to see that. But at the end of the day, they all kind of work the same way, So if you can hold off on that, unless that's a really very important value for you, but avoiding being the person with the newest, latest, greatest cell phone because the next one always just comes out anyway, right? So that can help you save some money there. I see a lot of people with big phone bills because they're paying for the purchase of the phone, and then you're kind of stuck paying that until you've paid that balance off. Anything you do, Tina, to keep that cost down with the
Yeah,
teenager?
so the other thing that we've been exploring is like I've been loyal to one of the biggest like companies out there probably since college. It was my first cell phone and I just continue to go with them because I've had them for so long and it's easy just to be like, okay, well it's there. But we've seriously been considering moving over to like Mint Mobile or T-Mobile and just kind of seeing like what those look like. And I know like we used to have Cricket here and Cricket was great, but it's kind of absorbed into a larger company now. So it's kind of still a little bit more expensive than what the other two are. With insurance companies, somebody asked any tips for finding legitimate insurance quotes. I downloaded Jerry, but I'm wary of using it. Not sure if it's reputable. My best thing is just like old school it. I just call them and I say, hey, I've got my teen with me. I'm not looking for a hard quote. I'm not looking to give you my social security number. I'm looking just to give you a basic idea of like what my zip code is and what my car looks like and how my driving record is. I'm looking for an idea of the range. Can you give that to me? And they were able to give that to us. We just actually did this last month. Like we called. And then there are some nonprofit insurance carriers too. Like one of them that's coming to mind is Amica, and I've heard that they have lower insurance rates than normal as well. So definitely worth it to kind of shop around.
Yeah. And honestly, contacting the credit union, I don't know if neighborhood has a specific recommendation, but a lot of times credit
Yeah.
unions partner, or membership places like Costco will have insurance partners as well. So then you can kind of get a broad range of quotes.
Sometimes your employer too, just depending on
Yeah,
your employer, they might have a partnership with somebody. I know like a long time ago, my old employer had one with like AAA, so we always got some kind of good discount with them as
discount.
well. Yeah.
hmm And that's for cell phone carriers too. A lot of times employers will have like cell phone plans, or even childcare. I found out we have a childcare one. It's not my daycare, but there could be things like that.
Yeah, I know that through your health plan, gym memberships could be covered through your health plan too. And that's something to, especially as we go into like the new year, they always run specials on that. So it's something
Hmm.
to look at and take advantage of.
Yeah.
Um, and then some employers, they don't advertise it, but they'll give like stipends towards a gym membership too. Like, we'll pay $50 towards your gym membership if you have it. So it's always something just to ask. And it
Hmm.
doesn't hurt for them to say no. And who knows, if you ask, they might be like, hey, that's something we want to include in our benefits plan. So,
Hmm. Yeah, definitely employers for cell phones. Sorry, I'm just thinking of ideas now, but some people
yeah,
have a company issued cell phone, so it might be something you consider talking to your employer about. Obviously, with your level of comfort, I've done that in the past where I just used my work phone as a personal phone because nothing crazy was really happening on it that I was too worried about my employer seeing. So that saved me some money for a while too.
awesome. So, our costly C's, just for those of you who are still with us, we've got our coffee, we've got children, carry out, cable, car, and cell phone. So let's talk about some simple budgeting hacks to help us overcome some of these costly C's, which we talked a little bit about it here and there while we've been going over the costly C's. We'll just do a quick review for us. Shopping with the list and sticking to it. Number one, buy store brands instead of name brand. I think a lot of us, even during the pandemic, have got used to that for sure. Compare gas prices at warehouse clubs, right? Grocery stores and gas stations. There's one gas station that I always go to here in Austin because I know it's cheaper than everywhere else that's in Austin. Select pickup over delivery for takeout and groceries. That'll help you to curb your spending. Instead of dinner reservations with a friend, save money on parking and eating out by hosting a potluck. For my birthday this year, we did a potluck because I knew that if we went to a restaurant, it was going to be extremely expensive right now. So I said, hey, everybody, just make a dish and bring it. And people loved that. And it worked out really, really well. Set up an energy assessment of your home. So if you're a homeowner, we were just talking to one of our colleagues that are on our team, and they're in the Midwest, so they've got to weatherize their home, right? But setting up an energy assessment of your home could be super helpful. Sometimes solar can help. Um, all of those types of deals. And then treating yourself to takeout or coffee one night a week. So I know for my brother, my 18-year-old brother loves spending money on Starbucks. And I'm like, hey, buddy, we are going to designate Friday nights, for coffee night. So whatever gourmet chocolate chip whipped cream thing that you want, you can get it, but it's only on Fridays. And if he wants it to buy it with his own money during the week, I'm not going to stop him from, using his work money. But it's been nice because going to that treat has also been like a nice time for us to hang out together too. So I would say it's something to look forward to, kind of like my citrus drink from the farmer's market that I talked about. Cancel your gym membership and work out at home instead. So that's something recently after my rent went up that I did. I was paying for a gym membership, but also yoga classes. I started doing yoga at home. So I'm not going to the studio anymore and I really do miss it. At the same time, though, I'm still getting all of the health benefits from doing yoga at home and I'm saving a lot of money every month as well. And then finally, review any subscriptions that you have. So I know that Lauren, we had talked about kind of spacing out, like, canceling your HBO Max, then going to Netflix and vice versa. Just, cancel any of your unused subscriptions or use just one entertainment subscription. So those are our ideas. And some of you have thrown in a lot of your ideas here too. We would like to do some brainstorming. One of the things that comes to mind that I've been doing a lot is I've been selling things on Mercari and All Hers and Facebook Marketplace. I've been doing a whole clean out of my apartment. And I'm just like, there are things that I just haven't touched in years that I've been able to like make some money off of, which is surprising.
Yeah,
Yeah,
garage sales are
garage
great.
sales, yard sales.
That's another thing for kids is the clothing and the shoes are it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of money you have to spend. So looking for garage sales or mom to mom sales, or there's a lot of like resale shops, or like Facebook Marketplace is great. Sometimes you can pick up free stuff for your kids, like people just want to get rid of those kids' clothes. So that's a really good thing.
The
Another
Buy
thing,
Nothing group.
yes, buy nothing groups are awesome. I started like a book exchange group on Facebook in my area because I have a bad habit of buying books and then not reading them or like starting to read them. So I started posting books that I wanted to get rid of, and then I could pick up other books for free, or using that library app. For my kids' breakfast, I love to make like a big batch of pancakes or waffles, and then I freeze the rest. So that saves money on kind of like the pre-made waffles that are frozen, but it also saves me time too because I don't have to remake a big thing of pancakes. Learning to sew, that's such a good tip, Alta, so that you don't have to pay to get your clothes hemmed or to fix things or replacing things that have a small tear.
I
And
just make
thrifting.
friends everywhere I go.
Well, that's true, like, exchanging skills with people, that if, like, hey, if that's what I used to do in college as my roommate was a really good cook and I didn't like cooking or wanna cook, so I would buy some groceries, she would make me dinner, that way I didn't have to eat out and she didn't have to pay for all of the food.
I don't pay to get my nails done. I watch my friend's daughter and in exchange for that. So I think exchanging services is really important.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. So just something else to think about too is that, interest rates on your house loans if you do have a mortgage and interest rates on your credit cards and personal loans, those are going to start going up if they're unsecured. And then just interest rates on everything you're going to see start going up. If you need any help with that, GreenPath has free financial wellness assessments where we can talk to you about options for paying off that debt. We can talk to you about options for navigating the higher interest rates. And then you may have heard, I don't know if you've heard about this, but there's been a lot of buzz about student loans and a student loan forgiveness program. We are doing a webinar about a whole what do you need to know and do about student loans. So that might be a way to find some more money in your budget, maybe not in the short term, but in the long term. So definitely we invite you to sign up for that. We have, I think it's close to what, Lauren, 2,000 people or something
Yep.
signed up for it already. So if you are interested in doing that, we have the link, which I'm going to pop into the chat.
And
And
if the time
then,
doesn't work, you should still register because then we'll send you a recording of it. You can review it afterward too.
yeah, it's in the evening. And then again, we really hope that this webinar has been helpful for you. Please remember that we will be sending you out some takeaways. So I'll be sending those out to Alta to send out to you in the recording. We truly appreciate your time for being with us today. And let us know if you have any questions. We're here for those. So we wish you a continued success on your financial wellness journeys and a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, Tina, for an amazing webinar. I have learned so much today, and I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now.